Betsy DeVos just resigned.
Who? Betsy DeVos?
Betsy DeVos, this U.S. Education Secretary,
Good riddance.
just resigned.
Good riddance, man. She had
So,
no clue. That woman had no clue, bro. I'm happy she's gone. Good riddance. She's probably realizes because Trump's gone, they don't want her ass there either. I don't want her there. Thank God, man. You know? How do you feel, just
yep.
talking about Betsy DeVos, a little off topic, how do you feel about charter schools?
I feel terribly about charter schools. I went to a private school from K to 3, and it wasn't a charter school, but I believe that the public school that I went to is better than my private school, and I think that it's possible to create public schools that are that good. Um, and therefore, I believe that charter schools take money away from public schools.
I
And
feel
I
good.
and I think that the system has been messed up in such a way that there are certain areas where there's strong rehabilitation that needs to happen for the public schools in a like a whole district, and I don't know exactly how to get the money, the teachers, the buildings for them. uh, I'm watching Brooklyn like redo a lot of schools, so I'm hoping that some of their public schools, the thing is that they also have a mixed charter program as well. So I don't know how I feel. I think that I would feel differently if I had kids.
Right.
You
So
know,
my son goes to charter school, right? I think it's an excellent charter school, right? So I feel like a certain kind of way. I'm not saying all charter schools are equivalent to, what my son's going through or whatever, but he's getting an excellent education. I think this COVID kind of screwed up a lot of stuff, but I'm very supportive of certain things regarding charter schools, right? But I also feel that public schools have been screwed. You know what I mean? Like I think that public schools have the same potential as charter schools. You know what I mean? Like I think that because charter schools get this funding and so on and so forth, and the way they're structured, they're able to, in some cases, outperform certain things with public schools. But like I said, I think if they were to pay the same amount of attention to public schools as they do with charter schools, that public schools could do the same as well. And then you also got to think of the neighborhoods that these public schools are in, and there's a lot of political things that I think have something to do with that. I think the charters. All right, so I live in Newark. The charter schools tend to do a lot better than the public schools out here. Why? Because they get their money and they do their their resources and whatever it is that they're doing, behind the scenes, tend to make it better for the environment for the students. Like for some reason or another, they're able to manipulate that money in a way where these kids get better teachers, better academic performance at the end of the day, better grades, whatever, right? The public schools or whatever it is, however, they're depending upon your neighborhood, get crapped on. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the better areas of Newark, some of those public schools perform better. In some of the other areas, they're doing horribly. So I think if you reallocate some of that effort, right, they could be just as good. You know what I mean? I have nothing against like either or. Like at the end of the day, I just want the children to get better educations. You know what I mean? And I don't care public, charter, private, parochial, whatever it is, or Catholic, or however you want to call it, school. Um, Not necessarily Catholic school, but like religious school or whatever. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be Catholic. Yeah,
parochial
parochial
schools
school.
are all
Yeah,
religious. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's all about like how it's developed and how it's sustained. I think they all need a lot of attention because there are obviously some charter schools that I think I don't know how could I say it with the public schools, they're pissed off because they feel like it's taking money away from the charter schools are taking money away from them. I don't know. I don't know the whole. Could you explain? Maybe you know more than I do. The structure of like why you feel like the they take more money or whatever it is. Like Like I don't really fully understand like if they're allotted a certain amount of money, why does the charter school? I don't know. I don't pay for my son to go to school. I do have to pay for a uniform. I do have to pay for certain supplies or whatever it is for my son. I mean, it's different now because of COVID, but that's what basically what I had to pay for when we had regular schools, going on. Why do you feel like?
See,
But,
Newark and a couple other places are a little bit different because they're not necessarily taking so the charter money, the money that's coming from the chart to this charter schools
hmm
are allocated from the taxes as well. So
Okay.
you're not paying extra.
Okay.
Some people are paying extra for their charter schools.
Mm.
And it's interesting because I hear different things from teachers. I honestly wish we should talk to a teacher about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like do a long topic forum topic about this.
I actually have a friend that
Um,
we should I can invite. I'm gonna talk to her and see if I can talk
okay.
to her. Yeah. I'm gonna see if I
Yeah,
can.
I'm totally interested because I have to admit that I am not as versed in like the politics of charter schools versus public schools. I know how I feel about it, but at the same time, I do understand that charter schools oftentimes are getting the same kind of money. It's just
hmm
that it's being allocated slightly differently by each governmental like element that's coming up. So,
Yeah.
um I only have a problem with it when it takes away. Newark is a weird example too because it does have a bunch of public schools in there that
hmm
probably aren't doing as well and need help. But
hmm
like Baltimore, like some places in New York,
hmm
like there's fundamental issues with the way that that school is already run, and they're getting money through their tax base, and that's their fundamental way of getting money, but money doesn't solve everything. Like you really do need to like start to talk about curriculum. Um, is it a functioning curriculum? And also that's why they have so many charter schools in New York.
Yeah.
And actually, this is great. We'll bring this up again.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is something that we should have like a full discussion about
Yeah.
with like some people who are in the know.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting, man. Like, cause I have a positive effect from it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for me to like
Yeah.
say something negative about it. But then at the same time, like I can kind of understand like when people want to have change, like this is affecting us negatively, and I hear all these stories about it. I'm like, but I like charter school. Like I don't know why like people are against it, but maybe it's because of my specific situation that's causing it to be different. I think at the end of the day, whatever the thing is, it should be all for the greater good, and people need to all talk about it and all fix the problems that are wrong with either charter school, public school, parochial, or whatever it is. Instead, people are against it totally and they don't say why, or if they do say why, they don't come up with solutions to fix it. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, we got to get rid of charter schools, or we got to get rid of this, or we got to get rid of that. And in reality, that doesn't work for everybody. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be kind of somewhere in the middle where we can all kind of like I went to an alternative school, an alternative high school when I was younger, and to be honest with you, I graduated and got my diploma, but I didn't get much education out of it. I was hanging out with a lot of people. I was, doing a lot of this type of stuff when I was younger, and goofing off, and but I still got my degree, right? I guess I did well enough to achieve, but I don't feel like I was at the standards of if I was in a higher end school or whatever. I was always good with math. I was always good with relatively good with science. Back in the days, they called it Regents. I was in Regents math, and I don't know if they still do it that way or not or whatever. But they considered that high level math and science or whatever. Never really great with English, obviously you could see. You know what I mean? Like obviously I have my struggles or whatever because I didn't really like reading that much. But I do tend to read a lot of technical books, so I can't, or technical information. So that I get, but I don't, if I don't feel like it's of substance of what I need to do with my life, I don't like reading it. Like, why would I want to read a novel if I feel like it has no relationship to what I want to do in life? So, like, some people have that argument of like, why are we teaching kids all this stuff in curriculums that have no relevance to what they want to be in the future,
Hmm.
versus doing something that has relevance. Like, a lot of kids don't learn about economics and how to deal with their banking and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that
I
are
understand.
there's a lot of things that are screwed up, and but yet you're forced to take these certain classes. I took Latin, man. I can tell you quid nomen est tibi, right? Like, quid nomen est tibi means what is your name in Latin, right? And mihi nomen est Robert. Robert, my name is Robert, right? I could tell
I
you
took
certain
Latin
things.
as
Yeah,
well.
I'm like,
Okay.
well, what did that do for us, bro? Like they
I
say it's
mean, it
good.
taught me how to. I mean, it taught me how to dissect languages.
Yeah,
I
I mean
I got
that's
better
a
at that.
good thing. That's the only good thing about it. And I'm not gonna say that's minor, right? But at the end of the day, it's like that was a lot of stress. You could pass or fail that class and then have to come in back for summer school or whatever the hell it is. And that's an anxiety that, like, whether or not you need it or didn't need or whatever. You understand my point, right? It's like there's certain things that I feel like are necessary, and there's certain things that aren't. There's certain things that people should have the choice of whether or not they want to learn or not learn. I went to college for music engineering and technology, right? And then I ended up going to another school, a 4-year school, and they tried to reteach the same thing that I learned in the 2-year school. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up quitting the 4-year school, and I never graduated, right? So that pisses me off, man. Like, the fact that I got more education, I feel, in a 2-year school than I did in a 4-year school. That it made me to the point that I was discouraged that I ended up leaving the 4-year school, and I end up now learning more stuff on YouTube than I felt like I've learned in college. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, man. Like they got to reassess the whole system, man. And I don't know. I like you said, we really need to delve into all this stuff and, like, really, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, talk about education and, like, what people really need to, like, look at, and, like, what's cost effective for people, because what's good for rich people isn't good for poor people, right? Like, they spend all this money thinking that they're going to get somewhere, and then they end up at McDonald's or something, versus going to that career that they want to go because they decided to take a path that like they think was better for them because that's what society said was the thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like, there's, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm,
Oh.
it's another emotional another emotional topic for me, bro. But go ahead.
Education is weird for me because I know that I learned a lot of the stuff that I actually learned on my own, but at
Yep.
the same time, I wouldn't throw away my 4 years of college. I've thought about it. I've thought about it a bunch of times. I would say I even had a kind of a negative college experience for part of it. Um,
You're a
but
smart dude.
no,
To me, in
I
my
would.
view, you're a
I
smart dude. But go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, what I did learn, I do not take for granted. That's all I can say. That's what I would like. But I do believe there are a lot of systems, and there's a ton of costs. Like I still have student loans to pay off.
Me
So,
too.
um, so at that point, I can talk about the problems in the system, etc. But at the same time, I think the more healthy discussion that we can have is about charter schools, about kids, and etc. Because I think college, I there's another person that I would love to have on the show, but she's harder to get on,
Mm.
um, and she knows more about college stuff. And like my brother, for instance, would know a lot more about the college system. Um, I honestly am more worried about. You're right, charter schools, public schools, not even verse charter schools, but just like how to get them in line, like get them in the same bucket where they're giving the same results.
Yep.
Because honestly, I don't want a disparity in results. I think that some people love competition. I don't think that competition is necessarily the best way to foster a community.
Yep. Yep. Do you think with private schools and the money that's spent in private schools that you should get a better education as well? Like, cause like that's another thing to look at. The fact that people feel like, oh, more money, more education, right? Like a lot of people feel like I sent my son to a $20,000 a year was it pre not
Private school.
preschool but private school or whatever.
Oh,
Not even private school, but what's the word I'm looking not high school, right before high school or whatever it is.
intermediaries. Hey, I know what you mean. Middle school,
Yeah,
like
middle
junior high
school or
school.
whatever. Yeah, junior high. That's what I'm looking for. Junior high. I was looking for the word. But like, they spend all that money on that. They would think that they would get better results. Like, do you think that that's like justified or like I think everybody should get like a certain playing field. I understand like if you spend more money, you want more things out of it, but then at the same time, it's like I don't know, man. Like I don't want to give
I just
just
think it's
because
a bad assumption to think that you're going to get a better result just because you paid more.
yeah
That's the
yeah
thing that I've learned is that it's a bad assumption to think that you're going to get a better result just because you paid more.
yeah
Now,
yeah
is it wrong to think that you're going to get a better result? No, it's not wrong, but
yeah.
it's foolish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like I said with the college, right? I spent more money with the 4 year, and I feel like they were trying to like. I was like, dude, I got studio equipment in my house, bro. Like, you're gonna try to tell me to do this, and why can't I do this at home? Why do I have to come in and do this stuff here when I could bring like a MIDI file? Because they basically wanted me to make some beats and do whatever it is uh, during their lab sessions or whatever it is. I'm like, yo, I could do all this stuff at home and just bring in a disc at the time. At least this was years ago, with the MIDI file and, and do whatever it is like there. I'm like, why?
But I'm sure they wanted you to have the pressure that the okay, so these are lessons that I never even took into because I was the same way. I was able to do a lot of this stuff in my own room or
Yeah,
whatever, and I would just use whatever means is necessary to get an A.
yeah,
Um, but there are times where like just doing it at where they're telling you to do it gives you a new understanding of a situation. Like I did learn how to do location audio because um I was doing some work for like doing some homework
hmm
and some of it involved doing some audio and I was like, okay. And then I got used to that process
hmm
and you just learn from something that you didn't even know that you didn't know. And I mean I didn't know that like I hadn't learned how to do location audio. I'd only learned how to do like theater audio basically.
hmm hmm
So yeah, I actually taken all the lessons that were they were trying to give me, and I now see that they were trying to give me a lesson, and I was unwilling to deal with it. I'd
yeah.
rather myself go smoke myself.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah. Yeah, I was bad,
I
man. We was bad when I was younger in college and high school. Oh my god. If I would,
I
if
was
the
still getting
teachers would
A's.
know. Yep, yep, yep. Oh my god. Yo, it's funny, man. You look at the past and you think about like some of the stuff. I'm sure some of the teachers were doing that stuff too. But it
Oh
is
yeah,
what it
no,
is,
for sure.
man. It is what
I'm
it
not gonna
is,
show
man.
throw anybody under the bus, but yes, I know for a fact.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny, man. I miss those days, man. I miss the days where I could just like I like the social aspect. I think that the whole thing about college to me was more the social aspect and
Yes.
everything else. But everything else is like, yo, man, I felt like there was so much money and time wasted, especially now with technology the way it is where you can learn some of the stuff like on YouTube or like, just like looking around for finding information. Like, you just got to know where to look. You know what I mean? Like, this, it's crazy, man. Like, it's really screwed up. That's another thing maybe we could talk about is how technology, like, kind of like altered the job market, right? Like, like a lot of people that have, like, learned, self-taught themselves, you know what I mean, into situations where they didn't really need to go to school. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, and these guys are yelling out there. My son and everybody.
Well,
They're
we're
like,
almost done. No worries.
yeah,
No
yeah.
worries. Just finish up.
But But I guess this is kind of a cool down session, right? We're talking about good times, right?
Yeah, we're just
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I just hope things like progress better, man. Like this year's the start of a new year. I think there's a lot of potential, and I just wanted like this show to develop something in down the line where we can help people do something better with themselves, or maybe see a different perspective of other things. And like I said, like education and all that stuff is really important. I think we really need to hone down on things that are really important right now in this specific time. Like education is important, figuring out where economically where people are and how to help them economically or whatever it is important. um I don't know, just like providing resources and maybe enlightening people and stuff. That's right now I think what 2021 should really be for us,
focused
and
on.
some, yeah, focused on like trying to like kind of like bring ourselves back to ground zero. You know what I mean? I think like we've been kicked in the nuts like the whole 2020. You know what I mean? I mean 2020 or whatever it is.
2020.
Yeah. So I think like 2021 we kind of